Well, good morning, everybody. Oh, come on. I know there's, I understand. It's good morning, everyone. Welcome to Freedom Fellowship. I'm so glad you're here. I know it's the holiday weekend. It's Thanksgiving, and we have so many out right now, but you're here. What's great, though, about this is we are recording the services now. So when you are out, you can go online, and you can actually watch and stay up and keep up with us and all that. Hey, if you're new here, we're glad you're here. We have a Connect card that you got when you walked in the door. If you can fill that out, put it in the offering box so we can show up at your house. No, we won't do that, or we won't even mess with you. But if you want information about Freedom Fellowship, we want to give it to you. Also in that, there was an offering envelope. That's for those of you that are just a part of what we're doing here and helping us grow. The offering boxes are on your way out. I do want to tell you a couple things that are going on. Really cool stuff. Our women's ministry got to meet and do some really cool stuff, and some of the women brought their husbands. Here's some of the deal. They got to go out and serve and build some meals and stuff like that for some people that did not have food for Thanksgiving. So that was really cool. Here's the one of some of them, and some of the kids went out and actually built meals and were able to give to some people who are unfortunate, don't have those things. So give a big round of applause for those women and all those people that went out. Thank you so much for that. I do want to mention this just because I forgot it last week. Y'all do me a favor. Would y'all let Jesse know how much you love him here? Jesse and his whole crew and his wife, Nikki, and even Miguel back there on the that thing. I don't even know what it's called, the one drum thing. And Miguel led worship for us last week. And Jesse, he's in the armed forces, so he has to go one weekend out of the month, and so leaves. And then Miguel stepped in last week. Now, Miguel, you understand, he's a great worship leader, but he's an incredible volleyball coach. Y'all know that? He's the head volleyball coach at Bowie High School. That's right. Not only can he hit a volleyball, but he can sing as well. So we were thankful that he was able to step in and help us with that and stuff. But we're now in and I'll give you just a couple before I jump in, because I know I'm about ready to jump in to life hacks. But I do want to share with you the things we have coming up. We have, I know Christmas is actually on the 25th next month, and Christmas Eve will be on the 24th again. Come on, help me out here. Thank you. Well, so here's what we're going to have. We're going to have a Christmas Eve service right here in this building. We will not have, it's on Sunday this year, okay? So we won't have church Sunday morning. So you can sleep in, hang out, do all that. But then we will come back here about 5 o'clock, and I'll give you the times. I think it's going to be 5 to 6, 1 hour. And we're going to ask you to invite your friends, invite people to come and be a part of what we're doing. And we're just going to have a great little Christmas service, Christmas Eve service, and talk about little baby Jesus in the manger. Little 8-ounce, 5. No, we're going to talk about that, and then we'll do some fun stuff, and we'll have a great time. But invite some friends and do that. So let's jump in, because I'm really ready to tackle this today, because this is something I believe that all of us in this room is going to have to deal with one way or another, or if you're not already dealing with it now, where James goes. See, here's why life hacks, and I want you to see this definition here. I'm going to throw it up again. This is what a life hack is. This is why we're calling this life hacks. This is why we're going through the book of James right now. Is this. It's a strategy or technique, okay, adopted in order to what? Manage one's time and daily activities in a more efficient way, all right? That's what kind of a life hack is. And for us, sometimes it makes life better. And the book of James, if you really read it and we really apply it to our lives, like we've talked about already, if we don't apply it, it's like the guy that looks in the mirror, and he looks in the mirror and he sees what he looks like, and he walks away and immediately forgets what he looks like, okay? That's not doing, and that's what we don't want to be that guy. And so this is what a life hack is going to help us with our lives, okay? And so here's a couple. I've been giving some out since day one that we started this. We've had the ones. I want to know this, though. Did anybody try last week's washing potatoes in the dishwasher? I'm curious if somebody tried it. No? Those people are not here, okay, as they decided their house blew up. No. That was one. A life hack was to wash your potatoes inside a dishwasher. Okay, that was a life hack. Here's one. My wife loves this one. All right, take a look at this one right here. If you want to fill a bucket and you can't get the hose to it, you use a broom dust. I don't even know what that is, because I don't sweep at my house, but that's the thing you use when you sweep, but you can get water in the bucket by using that. Is that a good life hack? That's a good one, okay. So this was my wife's favorite life hack. Let me show you mine. That's right. You can take your old CD containers and you can put a bagel sandwich in it. Yes. I know some of you are going, I'm using that one. That's right. You make a bagel sandwich, put it in the CD container. You can take it to work, stick it in the refrigerator, and it'll still be good. And you can put CDs in there if you want. You can get into music. Okay. So that's what life hack is. So James chapter 4, okay, let's jump into a little bit. And it's all about conflicts. And we're going to talk about conflicts today. And we've all been in that situation where conflicts have arose. And I love how James works, right? Last week was about how the tongue can get you in trouble. Last week was about how you can say certain things and how that tongue, it can either lift somebody up or tear somebody down, right? That tongue is so strong, and how our words can either build somebody up or tear somebody down, and how we really can use our words to hurt people. I did. And a lot of times, and I love how James goes from the tongue there and our words right into conflicts, because usually it's because of that. And as a basketball coach, I found my share of conflicts, okay? I'll tell you one. There's thousands, but I'm going to give you one. There was a time where a referee was not, and it's usually with referees. That's usually with nobody in this room has issues with referees, right? No, not at all. Nobody has that kind of stuff. So I was in a heated game. It was a district game. One of my players got pushed into the wall, and the referee sees this. It's right in front of him. He sees it. He hits the wall. My player did. He falls on the ground. The referee jumps over his body and runs down the floor. Game was over. We lost. He was going up for a layup, got pushed into the end. We lost. You know that little thing you have in your head, right? Over here is sanity, and over here is insanity. And there's this line that connects the two, and you just, it went up and broke, all right? I've never done this in my entire career of basketball coaching. I've never freaked out like this. I never went crazy like this. Here's what I did. I did not go to shake the coach's hand over there. Well done, good job. I chased the referee out the gym. Because if you watch games, they call the game, the gun goes, and they run because they're supposed to. They run. I don't know what happened. I chased the guy, okay? I ran after him. And as I ran after him, I got behind him. I was like, you did not call that call, blah, 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 blah. And just so you understand this, I was a basketball coach at a Christian school here in Austin, Texas. I had a Bible in my back pocket because I would do Bible studies with my team before they would play. And this guy turns around, he looks at me, and I'm just barking at him because of this play that he just blew. And I get to him, and he turns around, looks me right in the face, and he said, "And this is a Christian school?" And it was like, shot to the heart, and you're to blame. You give Christianity a bad name, yeah. So right then I stopped in my tracks, and I was like, wow, what did I just do? Why did I just do that? And then that's how many times where conflicts come in and how we have these conflicts. Sometimes it's because of anger. Majority of our conflicts come out of anger, yes? And majority of our conflicts happen because I'm angry, and then boom, we blow up, or we say certain things. There was let me tell you the story. First of all, there was a guy, he was in an island for 15 years, and he got rescued. He gets picked up off this island, and this is a hard-working guy, and here's what he did. He built basically a city. He had roads, he had buildings, he had a house, and he rescued. So these rescuers were like, show us what this is. He goes, well, come on. I've been here for 15 years by myself. He says, well, okay, what's this? He goes, this is my house. Come on in. 3-bedroom, indoor plumbing. He had a garage with all of his yard tools, everything. And they had roads and streets, everything. And then he looks over, and there's 2 buildings sitting side by side. And one of the guys goes, hey, what's those 2 buildings? He goes, well, the one on the left, that's my church. He goes, oh, that's cool. He said, what's one on the right? He goes, oh, that's the church I used to go to. He's by himself. 15 years. Okay, you figure that one out. Quarrels happen, fights happen, things happen, misunderstandings happen, disagreements happen. There's a church in Canada. This is a true story. I'm not making this. I don't know if that 15-year-old, I think that was a made-up story. This is a true story. There was a pastor and a church split, okay, in Canada back in, 1990s. Here's what happened. This pastor was up there preaching one day, and he's getting after it, and he's, doing a lot of hand motion apparently, and his tie wraps around his hand as he's speaking, and he throws his hand up like this, and it gets caught in his hand, and it basically almost rips his head off. And this guy right there in that moment took his tie off, threw it on the ground, and said, "This ties are of the devil." And some men went, yes, they are, yes. And he began to, this is what he began to do. He began to preach that ties were of the devil. Now, I'm not big on ties, but come on. So people began to go, he's right, absolutely. And the church split over the fact that this guy preached that ties were of the devil, and people were like, yeah, we can't do that. And this man formed his own congregation, formed his own doctrine, over ties. How crazy is it that these little things happen in our lives sometimes, right? These little minute things that cause such big stuff. Well, look at James, chapter 4. That's where we're at, chapter 4. Next week we'll do chapter 5. Chapter 4, and what James, when he writes about quarreling, because apparently even back in the modern churches, when these churches first started, there were disagreements. So here's one of them, right? So here's how he kind of responds to it, James does. He says, hey, where do you think all these appalling wars and all these quarrels come from? So he asks a question. He says, where do you think they come from? And then he asks a question. He says, do you think they just happen? Well, he answers this question by going, think again. They come about because, look at this, you want your own way. And when we want our own way, that's called what? Selfishness, correct? A lot of times it's called selfishness. He says, because you want your own way. And you fight for it deep inside yourselves, he says. He goes, you lust for what you don't have, and you're willing to kill to get it. He says, you want what isn't yours and will risk violence to get your hands on it. And guys, sometimes we'll do that from the smallest little things, the smallest little disagreements. We're willing to hurt, we're willing to, and listen, I know it says here wars and kills and things like that. In 1259, basically Italy got into a 21-year-old war because a guy, he defected from Italy and he went to another country and he took a bucket with him. He took a bucket. So they say, oh, you can keep him, but we want our bucket back. And they said, no, we're not giving the bucket back or him. And a 21-year war took place in Italy because of a bucket. Guys, look at me. Sometimes it's just something so small and so minute and so tiny that people are willing to do this. Marriages are willing to die because of it. Relationships with people that you've known forever are willing to go to die because of something small. I've seen sisters, brothers stop talking because of that. Look at this. I mean, it's real. He says we're willing to die for it. So here's number one. I want you to write this down because James basically points it out there. Here's what's at the heart of all relational conflicts. It's this. It's sin. Bottom line. Sin is any violation of God's will. Sin is going against what God calls us to do and wants us to do. That's sin. That's what sin is, okay? There's no this. Sin is going against God's will. And I believe that going against God's will is when we argue and we fight and we yell and we do all these things that we're not supposed to do and we say these things we're not supposed to say. We chase referees out into the hallway and yell at them. That's sin. And the sin is a selfishness, and the sin is selfishness, and it comes from that. So the question is not here this, all right? Will I ever face conflict, right? Because, let me just ask a question. Has anybody ever had conflict in their lives? I'm just curious. Okay, maybe I'm the only one up here that's ever had a conflict. The question is not, will I face conflict? But it's this, how can I best manage conflict when it arises? What's the best way to manage this? So James goes on and gives us something else in chapter 4, verse 4 through 7. Chapter 4, 4 through 7. He says this, look at this. He says, so let God work his will in you. I love that. I could stop right there and go, okay, nice. So let God work his will in you. And then it goes in and says, yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper, that devil of ties. No, okay, I'm just kidding. He says, yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. And then look at this. Say a quiet yes to God and he'll be there in no time. It says, quit dabbling in sin. Remember, sin is any violation of God's will, so quit dabbling in it, whether it's arguing with somebody, fighting with somebody, whatever it is. Quit dabbling in it. It says, purify your inner life, he says. Quit playing the field, hit bottom, cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over, and I love what he says right here. He says, get serious. That speaks to a lot of us. It speaks to me. He says, get serious, really serious. And I love this last part. It says, get down on your knees before the master. It's the only way you're going to be able to get on your feet. So let's break this down, okay? We know we have quarrels. We know we have things that happen. Let's break it down, this verse right here, as we kind of navigate through James chapter 4. But I got to navigate through this one. I want to break this one down. The first one is this. If we're going to handle quarrels, if we're going to, figure, again, I'm going to say it again. It's not that we will face conflicts. It's how do we manage them when they come up. So if we're going to manage them, here's one thing that we got to do. Number one is this. Write this down. Submit to God. Submit. That's a tough word, I know, for some of us. It's a very tough word. Submission is tough, especially if you come from a background like mine where I have problems with authority. I had problems growing up with authority. I had problems because I didn't have like strict authority in my life. I didn't have a strict authority. I didn't have someone saying, this is how you do it, and this is the way you're supposed to do it. My world was so crazy growing up, authority was something that I didn't like. And so I rebelled against authority. I fought against it. And if you come from that kind of background, it's hard to submit to God if you come from that. It's hard to understand submission. Letting go is basically what it is. Because let's be real, we carry a lot of stuff around. And submission is saying, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of all of it. Now, this is letting go of the stress, the problem, and trust me, God is working on me like you wouldn't believe. Starting this church, we're 12 weeks in, we're moving forward, we have a lot of plans, we have a lot of cool stuff that we're doing, and we're so pumped and excited about what God's doing here. And for me, I got to submit. Okay, God, you're in charge of this. You know what's happening here. You got this. And letting go and submitting is so big. Submit to God. And basically, it's just throwing your hands up. Throwing your hands up. And for me, and I love how, I'm going to share this one in a minute. But submit means this. It means to yield or surrender oneself to another. Completely letting go. Here's the question, and ask yourself this question. What is it in your life that you need to submit to? What is it in your life that you need to let go of? What is it in your life that you're saying, you just compartmentalize this, and I hold on to it, and I don't let anybody near it, and I don't let anybody see it, and I just hold on to it. What is it that you feel like God's saying, hey, it's time to let that go, and submit to Him, and let Him have it? I don't know what that is, but maybe you do. I love this, and you'll hear me use this proverb a lot, and it's a Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, trust in the Lord, because what it comes down to is trusting, right? So I have this little thing I hang on to, and I don't want to submit to God. I don't want to let it go, but I have to trust, right? I have to trust that God's going to take it. I got to trust that He's going to give me peace through it. I got to trust that He's going to take care of it. So that's how I let it go. Because if you're going to let go, you got to trust, right? Absolutely. You got to trust that it's going to hold you. We have a zip line in our backyard. It's a lot of trust to step off that platform and think, okay, I'm going to be able to hold myself. 1, 2, is it going to hold me? All right? Especially after Thanksgiving. Thank you. All right. It's trust. It's stepping off that platform and saying, okay, trust me. Look at this, what he says in Proverbs 3. He says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. That's all of it, not some of it. Hey, God, I trust you with this part, but not this part. I trust you with my kids, but not my money. I trust you with my marriage, but not necessarily my job. I'll take care of that. No, he says this. He says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. We don't have to understand it. He says, trust me. He says, in all your ways, submit to Him, and He'll make your path straight. Letting go, submitting. Here's number 2. Write this one down. It's resist the devil. We talked about it already. James already kind of mentioned this early on. Temptation, and how temptation will grab a hold of us. How we see certain things we know we're not supposed to do. We kind of gravitate toward it. He says, resist those things. Resist the devil. Look at this. We can't submit to God totally. We can't submit totally. We can't do number 1 without resisting the devil fully. So we can't submit without resisting the devil fully. In James 4:7, it says, yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. It's basically, I'm standing there in this situation. I know I'm not supposed to yell at this referee or chase him out of the gym. I know that there's a temptation and a pressure there, and that little wire snap, I have to go, no. Maybe I should have yelled no at that point. But I say no. And there's other things that we say, well, am I supposed to do this or this? And I mean, I'm not going to name things because you know what they are. But just going, hey, no, and the devil will scamper. He'll run from you. Look at this verse right here, and the next verse in your notes will be up on your screen. It's 1 Peter 5:8. It says, stay alert. It says, watch out for your great enemy, the who? I'm sorry, the who? The devil, because the devil is very real. The devil prowls around like a what? Like a roaring lion looking for people to devour. Now, when Peter wrote this, you got to understand, people were getting attacked by lions. That's the kind of world they live in. Hey, let's go for a walk. We'll go get some water. Hey, it's a good job. Get your jar. I got my jar. Let's go, buddy. And as they're walking with 3 or 4 people, a lion would come out of nowhere and snatch one of them. Oh, we lost Jimmy. No, lion got him. Yeah, that happened. These lions would jump out and jump on you. Now, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this in the wilderness or in the jungle or anything, or if you ever watch Animal Planet. I love Animal Planet. And when my kids were little, there wasn't a lot of things for us to watch, because of just the garbage on television. So we'd watch Animal Planet all the time. And me and my boys were in there watching. I got some little ones. I got some, the one was little, one's a little older. And we come upon this, this grazing African scene. And here's what was going on. This little deer was getting some water. And he was, kind of drinking water. And my little one goes, "Oh, look, the deer, Daddy." I go, "Oh, yeah, I know. How pretty." And then the other one's going, "Dad, turn it." But we're kind of having this conversation. And all of a sudden you hear this man's voice from another country. "Oh, look at the lion." And I'm like, "Oh, look at the lion, guys." Not even thinking what's about to happen here. They go, the lion in his natural habitat. And he begins to walk, and he began to getting closer and closer, and he's pounding. And before I can even get the remote or do anything, this lion just goes, boom, attacks this deer, grabs it by the throat, starts spinning it around. My youngest kid goes, "No!" Just freaks out, starts crying. My oldest kid goes, "That was cool." But it gave me this whole, what? How crazy is this, right? As soon as that lion, it was that quick. Before I can even get to the remote, before I can even change the channel, this deer was gone. And when Peter was writing this is what he's talking about. Before you know it, the enemy jumps on you, and before you know it, he tells you to say this or do this or go that direction. And before you know it, we're getting devoured by a lion. Yes or no? I've been there. I can stand up here and tell multiple stories of how I've been devoured by the enemy. Because I'm very real. I'm a human. I'm broken. You'll hear me say this a million times. We're all broken. We're broken people, leading broken people to a perfect Savior. And that's Jesus. But look what he says. So I want you to write this down in this little spot there where it says, write this down, stay alert. Right after 1 Peter 5:8, write this down. Stay alert. How do we stay alert? Man, we got to do what's coming up next, but I'm going to give you this next one. So stay alert. Here's the next one. John 10:10. The thief comes only to kill, steal, and what? Kill, steal, and what? Absolutely. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Then Jesus says, "I have come that they may have what? Life, and have life to the full." Write this down. We can have life to the full. We can have life to the full. So we have to stay alert, and we have to have, and we can have life to the full. So how do we do that? Well, James actually tells us that right next in this next passage. He says this, draw near to God. Write this down. It's the number 4. Draw near to him, and he'll draw near to us. That's how we stay alert. That's how we know that we can have life to the full. That's how we know that we can battle these temptations and submit to him, is we have to draw near to him. Hebrews 4:16 says this, "Let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and may find grace to help in times of need." We draw near to him. And see, the Bible gives us, God gives us procedures to draw near to him. He gives us procedures how we draw near to him, and I want to give them to you. There's about 4 of them, all right? The first one is this. Write this down. Through his word. We draw near to him through his word, by reading his Bible. Remember, I've said this before, Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, okay? We're all going to leave earth, and God gives us some basic instructions in this book. And if we want to draw near to him, and we want to have that relationship with him, and we want to continue to grow in that relationship with him, this Bible and reading his word is so important. Think about this. It's the #1 bestseller in America and the most unread book. I think there's a problem there, yes? It really is. If you don't own a Bible, we have them. We want to give you one. If you don't own one, and I know people are like, well, I don't understand it, okay? And maybe when you're, as a child, you've got someone give you a Bible. And a lot of times this happened. When I was a kid, someone gave me a Bible, and I first opened it up. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to read. I didn't know what to do. So I just opened it up, and it was, "Oh, thy heavenly Father, I cometh now to it, O grow brown cow." Like, what is this? And it was so, I was like, I became British all of a sudden. Yeah, I didn't know what happened. And I put it down immediately. I said, no, I don't want to read this. I don't understand this old English. I don't get it. Someone gave me a New King James. I'm not against New King James, right? Hey, that's your thing. I mean, Old King James, that's your great. But it wasn't for me as a teenager just getting saved and opening a Bible. It wasn't. It wasn't for me at all. Until later on, someone gave me a Bible called The Transformer, and it was written by a guy named Jay Strack, who actually I got saved under his ministry, and I grabbed that Bible, and the first time I read it, I was like, wow, I get this. This is speaking to me. This is why one of the things I tell brand new believers who are Christians, I tell them to first, read some of the Gospels so they understand who Jesus is. They read the Gospels and kind of get through that, and so you understand it. Also, I tell them to read James. If you're like, man, I don't get, read James. This book right here, again, this is why we're going through it, will give you so much insight. And there's so many other help books to help you read the Bible, okay? But that's why we have it. God didn't say, here, I want to give you a book to put on your shelf and leave there. It's not a book that you would just walk around with and go, hey, look, I got my Bible. No, it's a book that we read, and it brings life to you. The Bible brings life. And that's why we have it. And if we want to draw near to him, we have to read his word. We can't just think about owning it. It doesn't help you, okay? And I'm telling myself this, all right? Look, so here's the next one. Through his word, the Bible. Here's the next one. Through worship. Worship. Worship is one of those things where we just it's a personal part. And for me, listen, I like different things of worship, okay? I love to worship. I love to be able to go somewhere where I love worship. Let me tell you, there's corporate worship and there's personal worship. Corporate is what we do here, okay? You come, you stand, and Jesse and his team do an amazing job, and they lead us in the presence of God where we're able to worship. And for me, sometimes worship is when I can let some things go, when we hold on to so much stuff, right? We hold on to a lot of things. And one of the things why when I'm in a place of real worship, I raise my hands. I know some people think, oh, that's crazy. Well, let me tell you why I raise my hands, okay? And not everybody raises their hands, and you don't have to raise your hands. It doesn't make you any more spiritual or any more godly if you raise your hands or you don't. But let me tell you why I do. A couple reasons. One is for me, I hold on to a lot of things, okay? For me to surrender, for me to submit, like we talked about earlier, I have to let go. And for me to let go, I have to let go of all these things I'm holding on to, all this stuff that I'm dealing with, and I let go of it. And for me, I just throw my hands up. Because when we submit and when we surrender, what do? We throw our hands up. If someone was to rob a bank and you're in a bank and they go, hey, surrender, you do this. You throw your hands up. And for me to surrender, I throw my hands up. And I open my palms and I let go and I close my eyes. And sometimes I just love being able to worship in my car, that personal worship. I don't know if you've ever done this. You just put on a CD, you put on a song that resonates to you, and you just sing and you worship. And sometimes I just throw my hands up and Jesus, take the wheel. Okay, maybe not. No, we don't do that. But I love that time, and I will sing out loud and super loud in my car by myself. Anybody else do this? Yes. Where people are driving by going, this fool's crazy, right? And I'm like, hallelujah! I'm loving it. I love that worship because why? It's drawing me near to him. And you know another reason why I raise my hands? And why, submitting is one of them. But here's another reason why I raise my hands. When my son was very little, he was learning how to walk. And he was dealing with walking, and what he would do is he would hold on to furniture when he walked. You got kids that done this? They hold on to stuff. They can walk fine, but they got to do this. I got to hold on to this. I got to hold on to that. And they're walking around holding on to stuff. And one day I see my son Colton. He's our oldest. And I go to the middle of the floor, and I see him. And he's holding on to the couch, like actually it was a coffee table. And he's looking at me, and he wants to come to me. And so I began to call him. Colton, come here, buddy. Come here, dude. And he'd go, no, a little unstable. He'd start to fall a little bit. He'd let go again and start stumbling toward me. No. But I kept calling. I kept saying, come on, dude. Come on, I'm right here. I got you, man. I'm not going to let you fall. Walk to me, Colton. And finally, he lets go because why? He wanted to draw near to me. He wanted to be next to Daddy. He wanted to be there, and he had to let go of this, and he had to take a step forward, and he began to walk toward me, walking. He's doing the whole baby thing, going, and he's walking toward me, and he gets right to my feet, and he throws both hands up. And this is what he said. He said, hold me, Daddy. Hold me, Daddy. And in that moment, I looked down at this little boy who just wanted his daddy to hold him. And for sometimes how I draw near to him through worship, I throw my hands up and I say, hold me, Daddy. He said, I didn't have a father, an earthly father that held me. I didn't have a daddy in this earth that said, put his arms around me and held me and said he loved me. I didn't have that growing up. But when I gave my life to Jesus, when I got saved and he became my Abba Father, my daddy, when I worship, when I want to draw near to him, I throw my hands up some days and I just say, hold me, Daddy. I don't know where you are in your life and what you need to ask him to hold you, but man, God wants to hold you. And that's how we draw near. Look at this. We draw near through his word. We draw near through worship and just worshiping him. Here's the next one, through discipleship. We draw near to him through discipleship. And what discipleship is studying his word. And again, Sunday mornings are great, and we're hoping to give you something to get you through the week. But this is why we're so big on our core groups and why we're going to begin these. In January, we absolutely starting these if I have to start them myself and run every one of them, okay? Because that's how important I know they are. And so we have our men's group, and we will be meeting on our men's Bible study this week, and you're welcome to join us. It is at 6 a.m. in the morning. I know God does wake up at that time, okay? Because we've already seen him a couple of times at our Bible study. All right, so listen, I know it's early, but we go 6 to 7. It's a great Bible study for you guys that are men in this room that just want to get up and open your day with God's word and with a bunch of other men and just grow and draw near to him. And we have our women's stuff that keeps on happening, but we, in our youth, we will be back on Wednesday night. We kick off our youth again for the holiday. I won't tell the next holiday, but we're having youth group on Wednesday. So those are core groups, and then we are going to have couples, and we're going to have this, we're going to have all kinds of cool stuff, okay? We will be having those things. But that's how we draw near to him, through those core groups. So we have through his word, through worship, through discipleship, and here's the next one, through prayer. This is how we draw near to him. We pray. I love that we can pray. See, the result of drawing near to God is that he will draw near to us. And are you taking that time to sit down and go, okay, God, I want to speak to you, and I'm going to ask you to speak to me? Are we taking that time to go, okay, God, speak to me? And someone actually asked me on I guess it was Thanksgiving, someone goes, hey, how do you know God's speaking to you? How do you know that he's talking? Do you hear an audible voice? Yes, I do. No. Hey, Kacy. That'd be making it a lot easier if that was the case, right? But no, here's what I do. When I pray, when I get on my knees, when I fall down, and I just can say, okay, God, speak to me, there's a peace that happens. There's this thing that happens inside me where I can just know that he's speaking to me and leading me. And there are times I know he's leading me, and I don't go that direction. Well, the start of this church, I was like, no. I fought it. I knew he said do it. But I was like, it's too hard, too difficult. I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I'll tell you all of it. But I kept feeling that you got to do this. You have to do this. People need this. People need this. You need this. So I said, okay. And here we are. But listen, we got to get on our knees. And this is the next thing that he says, basically. The result of drawing near to God is that he'll draw near to us. I don't know if y'all saw that. The result of drawing near to God is he'll draw near to us. But look at this. Number 5 kind of leads into this. He says, fight your battles on your knees. That's where we need to fight our battles, on our knees, not on Twitter. We got to fight our battles on our knees, not on Twitter, not on Instagram, not on text message, not on on email, and not face to face. We need to fight our battles on our knees. Look at James 4:10. It says, get down on your knees before the master. It's the only way that you're going to be able to get on your feet. So when we fall, we have these conflicts. We have these things that happen in our lives, and they're going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. We got to get on our knees, and we have to understand that prayer is this. Write this down. Prayer is not a religious ritual. I want you to hear that for a minute. Prayer is not this religious ritual. A lot of times we think, okay, well, I'm going to go to bed. I'm just going to say my little prayers. I'm going to I map them out. I'll write them out, whatever. Or I know people that have written their prayers out. I've literally had someone tell me this. They would write their prayers out, and they would say them at night, the same things. And there's nothing wrong with writing your prayers out. But eventually this guy told me, he was a teenage boy. He said, eventually, I just wrote them out, and I held them up at night because God could read. I'm not making this up. This is what this teenager told me. He said, I just would hold them up, so God could read them. I held them up so, imagine this kid at night laying in his bed, writing out his prayers, going, here you go, God. And then eventually he's like, oh, you're a speed reader. You got this. Okay, good. But listen, it's not like this ritual here, okay? It's not a religious ritual. It's an intentional relationship. You talk to God like you talk to your wife or your husband, your kids. Well, maybe not your kids, but you talk to God like he's right there. And I love praying out loud in the car. I did. I just love to talk and pray out loud as I can and have a conversation with God when I'm driving my car. And my family thinks I'm crazy. They can't, what, Dad? What? No. I love being able to just talk to him personally. So prayer is not a religious ritual. It's an intentional relationship. So I want you to think about this for a minute as we kind of process all the stuff that we just looked at. It's very laid out, and if you want to keep on going in James, I kind of stopped there because, I mean, there's some other stuff in chapter 4 you can go and look at yourselves. It's talking about slandering one another and hurting one another, and then it talks about boasting about tomorrow, saying, listen, live for today. Go read those 2 sections right there. Great stuff. Those 2 sections right there you can do whole messages on, but I want you to just kind of go read them on your own. I just kind of focus on this one today. I believe that God is speaking to some of you in this room, because you know how many times, and the guys are going to come up and play real soft, and we'll close down here. Because I believe there's some of you in some battles right now. Bless you. There's some of you right now that you have some real conflict in your lives. You have some real battles in your lives. You have some things. Maybe it's a marriage. Maybe it's some people around you. Maybe it's some friends. Maybe it's some siblings. I don't know, but I do know this, though. How many conversations I've had with people around this country, because what I've got to do for the last 20 years is travel this country and speak to people and tell them about Jesus. I've met with people after people after people. The things that I get to do in this community, because I love this community, I get to sit with people in this community and just talk. And you know how many times, and just recently I met with this girl, and it was a lady, and she was telling me that she had not spoke with her sister for 7 years. Her mom died. They had a conflict of who gets what and this and that and the state stuff. For 7 years, this woman told me, I have not spoke with my sister who I grew up with, who I love to death. We battled together. We fought life together. We did all these things together. And one misunderstanding, here's what it was. She said she just recently spoke with her sister. So she's telling me how they kind of brought it back. 7 years of no talking. I'm talking about they didn't talk on Thanksgiving. They didn't talk on Christmas. They didn't call each other on birthdays. Because both of them had this, we go back up to the top, a selfishness that was going on. And here's what it was. And here's how they restored this. Guys, listen to me. I'm telling you this because you got to hear this. 7 years. And it turned out it was this. One thought one said something else, and the other one thought they did something, and it was just a complete and total misunderstanding. And nobody thought to let's talk this out. No one thought to, hey, let's pray about this. Hey, no one thought to let's sit down or let's get on a phone or let's work this out. And so they said this, because this is what we run to, right? I just won't talk to you. I just won't do it. Oh yeah, I'll show you. And for 7 years, they missed out on their relationship with one another. For 7 years, they missed out on the sibling relationship. I've watched marriages fall apart because of the same thing. The same thing. James gives us some really cool stuff here. Matthew 18, I don't know if you've heard of the Matthew 18 principle, but Matthew 18 is this. When you have things that are going on, conflict with one another, it basically says this: go make it right. Go make it right. Go fix it. Go talk about it. At least you can know you've done your part. And I did that with my own father. I stood in front of my father and I said, Dad, I forgive you. I've let it go. And I'll share that story one day with you. But I told this man, I forgive him and I let it go. And I can't hold this anymore. And this chain fell off me. It was this incredible deal. I had found freedom. And he looked at me and said, I don't care. Literally jumped in a truck and drove off. But I said what I needed to say. I did it from me. And if you go to try to make something right with somebody, that doesn't mean that they're going to go, oh yeah, and just have this happy little, thing. It may not work that way. They may go, I don't care, I still hate you, and walk off. But you know what? You did it for you, right? Because it's not about them, it's about you. So listen to this, and I put this in here for a reason. 2 reasons. I put 2 names. It could be more, or it could just be one. But I want you to take this serious and take this with you. It's in your little note deal there. It says this: 2 names that you need to pray for and make things right with. You don't have to do it today. But here's what I'm going to challenge you with. Write those names down. Write them down. Keep this with you. Keep this in your Bible. Keep this little sheet in your Bible. Write those 2 names down so every day you look at them, you go, I need to pray about this. Boy, I really need, hey God, I need you to work on me in this. Man, guys, I can tell you right now, there's people I know who've done me wrong. That people around me know, man, that person did you wrong. But if I let that fester in me, if I let that grow in me, if I let that build in me, let me ask you a question. Will I be able to draw near to God? No, I won't. My marriage will struggle. My relationships will struggle. This church will struggle. I'm telling you, I know this. So I have to keep clean here. Remember it says in this verse in the beginning, it says, purify your inner life. Purify it. And we hold on to this garbage. We hold on to the hurt and pain, and we hold on to bitterness and anger towards somebody. We're not purifying the inner life, are we? No. So it's get on our knees so we can stand. Get on our knees so we can walk. Get on our knees so we can run. We got to get on our knees, make things right with God, make things right with each other. And then this last verse I'm putting down right here, James 4:17. It's the last verse in James chapter 4 here, in verse 17. He says this, it is sin to know what you ought to do and not do it. Ooh, I had to circle that one. I had to underline it twice. It is sin to know what you ought to do and not do it. We got to follow him. Conflicts are going to happen. It's going to go down. James gives us some very good principles here, right? On what we need to do to make things right, to draw near to him. Let me pray. Father, we love you. And God, I thank you that we can come and just celebrate you this morning through worship, and we can draw near to you this morning through our worship and through our study here today and looking at James. And God, I pray for those in this room right now, and you know who they are, who are having some quarrels and some fights and some things and some stuff going on. God, you know who they are. You know they needed to hear this morning. This is why you put this out there. So God, I pray that they will take that step. I pray, God, that they will truly be moved today by your word and your spirit, that they will take that step till they know what they need to do to make things right. That we can't keep fighting. We can't keep quarreling. It's not good for our soul. It's not good for our being. And Father, I pray for those in this room who are still growing close to you, is trying to still figure you out and still trying to go, hey, God, who are you? God, I pray you continue to show them who you are. And God, I pray for Freedom Fellowship. I pray that you'll continue to bring people into this place that needs to hear about you, that needs to hear about your goodness, your grace, your mercy, your saving grace. And so, God, I just pray that we will walk out of here energized, fired up, ready to go, tackle this world for you. Lord, we love you, we praise you, we thank you, and we draw near to you right now as we worship you. Father, we love you in Jesus' name. Hey, would you stand and let's worship just for a moment as we kind of just sing this song. And I'm going to ask some of you just even right now, maybe some of you are in this room who are just saying, you know, man, that's just really, I know it's a little heavy this morning. I'm being real with you. I know it is. That's okay. I'm going to just challenge some of you right now to, as we sing this, as we worship a little bit, maybe for even some of you who are saying, I'm in that battle right now. I'm in that quarrel right now. I'm in that deal. I'm going to challenge maybe some of you come and get on your face, get on your knees and pray this morning. I know this is a school, and this is a cafetorium, and we're in a elementary, but today and right now for the next 10 minutes here, whenever we have to be out of this room, this is a church. And to me, this is an altar. So maybe some of you just need to come get on your knees and talk to God this morning. Thank you.